He's like a bad guy in pro wrestling. He's a heel. My 12-year-old and my 14-year-old asked me about Andrew Tate. He is not afraid to talk to anybody. This is a very intelligent and calculated guy.
Over the recent years, Rogan has regularly mentioned Tate on the JRE podcast, being totally clued into everything happening in his world, with it being evident that he is following all the latest with Tate's ongoing case in Romania.
Why is Romania going after him? Are they being pressured by someone else to do this? Like, what is the reason why they're doing it? They banned him from everything. They banned him from Facebook. The only thing he's still on is
Elon,
Twitter.
Elon brought him back.
Yeah.
After Andrew Tate was recently released off of house arrest, his face began recirculating the social media space, appearing on the George Janko Show, the Disruptors podcast, and the Matt Kim podcast, with one question on everyone's mind: when will Andrew Tate make an appearance on the JRE podcast? As of Monday, December the 11th, 2023, the Tates were able to travel anywhere in Romania, and during this time suffered two massive upsets.
The reason my mother is having a heart attack is probably because of the media harassing her all the time, and the BBC were doing this. The BBC were looking at her f***ing window. The BBC were waiting outside of her house.
On the Associated Press video on YouTube that followed them to the tribunal to hear their application for travelling to the US, the top comment read, "A Joe Rogan appearance would break YouTube. Just saying." Apart from the fact that JRE episodes aren't on YouTube, they are 100% correct that Rogan and Tate face to face on JRE would be insane, especially after the highly anticipated appearance of The Rock that turned out to be a massive blunder.
The most awkward of conversations between a fake Joe Rogan pretending he was happy to have The Rock in studio and a fake The Rock pretending he was happy for Joe Rogan. It was just these two incredible hours of awkwardness between two guys that weren't great at hiding the awkwardness.
However, during the pandemic, the JRE featured several controversial guests, which resulted in a public apology from Rogan.
You used to be a liberal.
Right.
And then you became a conservative.
That's correct.
So what was it?
If you bully men out of the public square, bad things happen.
Walk down the street with a mask on?
Let's not start this, Joe.
Do you, though?
Let's not start this. Okay?
Let's start it.
I don't want to start this. I'm not going to sit here with no medical degree, listening to you with no medical degree, with an American flag behind you, smoking a cigar, acting like we know what's up.
How many people were promoters of the vaccine and then died suddenly? It's crazy how many fucking young people just died in their sleep after they took it. And everybody's like, nothing to see here.
Sudden adult death syndrome.
You ever go to the Died Suddenly Instagram page? Like, holy. There's so many. And so many people like talking about people who are, anti-Darwin, anti-vaxxers, and then you're dead. Sorry. You bought into the wrong bullshit. But that's, if you really want to get cruel, that's Darwinism. Do you not know they lie by now? Are you not aware of the opioid crisis? You're not aware of Vioxx? You're not aware of the various, to 25% of all FDA-approved drugs that get pulled? It's 1 out of 4. And you're like, really, you're an anti-vaxxer? What are you, a conspiracy theorist? You fool. Darwin's going to do its work with you. You're modifying your genes, you fucking idiot. Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You just going to trust Pfizer? Well, they do support Anderson Cooper, brought to you by Pfizer. And if they could scare you into compliance, that's the way they did it.
It worked for a lot of people.
Boy, it did. It scared the shit out of me because I was like, oh my God, there's so many out here.
Yeah.
There's so many people that will roll over for the government, even if what they're saying doesn't make any sense, even if it's not scientific.
Some people are upset here about what you said.
I talk too much. You talk too much. We talk too much.
Yes.
When you talk too much, it comes out of your mouth.
You're going to step in some.
And then you're scrambling, trying to make it make sense. I didn't say I'm not an anti-vax person.
Right.
In fact, I said I believe they're safe. And I encourage many people to take them. My parents were vaccinated. I just said, I don't think that if you're a young, healthy person, that you need it. I wanted to make this video, first of all, because I think there's a lot of people that have a distorted perception of what I do, maybe based on sound bites or based on headlines of articles that are disparaging. The podcast has been accused of spreading dangerous misinformation, specifically about 2 episodes. I do not know if they're right. I don't know because I'm not a doctor. I'm not a scientist. I'm just a person who sits down and talks to people and has conversations with them. Do I get things wrong? Absolutely, I get things wrong, but I try to correct them. Whenever I get something wrong, I try to correct it because I'm interested in telling the truth. I'm interested in finding out what the truth is. And I'm interested in having interesting conversations with people that have differing opinions. I don't know what else I can do differently other than maybe try harder to get people with differing opinions on right afterwards. I do think that that's important, and do my best to make sure that I've researched these topics, the controversial ones in particular, and have all the pertinent facts at hand before I discuss them. Again, I'm not trying to promote misinformation. I'm not trying to be controversial.
Joe Rogan made it clear here that he would commit to being more careful with guests on future episodes, which became evident as fan upset poured in. Is it just me that feels as though the Joe Rogan Experience peaked around 2018 in terms of cultural significance? Since 2020, it just feels like the show has vanished, and I use Spotify every day. Anyone else? That was the top of the mountain for powerful JRE. Am I wrong? Since this period, powerful JRE became stale for many, with the recurrent features of comedy goons stroking their egos for hours on end.
Kind of, like I've caught him doing some things. So I think we're all even.
Also, I'm drinking like Monster Energy drinks sometimes, which are like magnets.
Yeah.
They're delicious, but they make you want to pee.
Make you want to beat your wife too, dude. I've seen a lot of dudes drinking Monster that they're going home to punch.
I don't know if the Monster is the cause of it. I think there's probably other factors.
Well, I'll say this: it's the beverage of choice of some of those gentlemen. I'll say that.
However, this likely isn't the reason why Rogan hasn't collaborated with Andrew Tate. Many believe the delay could be more than just playing safe to keep sponsors on side, but instead to avoid backlash for conflicting argument, which would cause huge upset due to Andrew Tate's immature audience.
Romania, I don't know what their system is like. I don't know whether they're corrupt. I've heard things, but I don't have any real information. So I'd be talking out of my to say.
Rogan is seen talking about Andrew Tate's current case from a neutral standpoint, initially acknowledging the many allegations and ongoing investigation.
Proven in court, and I hope he gets punished if he really did that. If he didn't do that, I hope he gets exonerated, and I hope he gets the fuck out of Romania. I don't know what he did. I know a lot of what he does is theater, right? A lot of what he does is very like satire. He plays the role of this boastful misogynist who smokes cigars and drives Lamborghinis, and that's his thing. And because of that, he's amassed an amazing amount of money. And he's done it by doing this character, this online persona, but then also says very wise things. He says ridiculous but also says really interesting things. He's a very smart guy.
It has become evident that whenever Rogan talks about Tate, he makes sure to cover all angles. Rogan is then seen laughing at Hustlers University, Tate's most lucrative business venture, but still manages to tread carefully, which Rogan is known for doing very often.
The hustle.
They can quit at any time they want.
It's like $70 a month, and you become a top G. That's literally.
I mean, is that bad? I don't know. I mean, is it a con game, or is he trying to give them legitimate information? What is he giving them other than what he's already said in interviews and like what? How is it a university? Like what is?
He has people who, and that's where it's a grayer because
aren't there like professors? Hustlers University. Experience modern wealth creation.
I haven't looked at this. I didn't know this was even real.
Yeah, no, this is what he said. Like a main.
So many grifters.
Main business.
Secure your spot for just $49 is your last chance to secure a spot or a discounted price.
This weird countdown thing is such a
Oh, that's hilarious. Oh my
this,
God.
Was it just recycle?
I only have 1 hour, 10 minutes and 36 seconds to sign up.
And that's going to be 147.
Enroll now, Jamie. You have only an hour
Let's
before this class. Enroll.
Before this.
Let's enroll.
Rogan's sarcastic remarks and laughter make true that deep down he knows the Tate brothers are con artists, but refuses to verbally express this. Instead, he acknowledges Tate's polarizing nature and even goes as far to admit that someone like Tate is a necessary role model. In the Derek More Plates More Dates episode, Rogan discusses the ongoing phenomenon that is Andrew Tate, but ends up portraying the role model he represents.
Do not feel like there's anyone that represents men in popular culture. Like what men actually talk about when they're alone, when men are just hanging out with men and not trying to impress women or trying to not get yelled at, the wild they talk about. And, if you can be the most exaggerated form of that, this world champion kickboxers standing there smoking a cigar, making fun of simps, And, you know, that's very appealing to men because it doesn't exist.
Bro, look a girl in the eyes and you her, tell her you're gonna cheat on her. She loves it. Bro, man, they don't respect a man. They don't respect a man with no
goes on it. She was like, yeah, I ain't gonna lie. You don't got no I don't want that nigga anyway.
You know,
no me.
Since the emergence of the David Gogginses and the Andrew Tates, a void was filled that Rogan had created back in 2020. His quote-unquote dying podcast had been reignited in the majority's eyes.
Okay.
Double pineapple, double anchovy.
Wow.
It's amazing. It's my favorite pizza.
Can we order some right now?
Oh, yeah.
Agree or disagree with these people matter not, as their brands thrive off of division and chaos. The us versus them scenario has dominated politics and culture over the last decade.
You won't agree with anything they're doing because you can't even categorize them as a group.
Israel intelligence will say a guy's a Hamas. Has that guy gone to a court of law? Has there been a democratic process? Has he been proven to be a No, they've just decided from their intelligence that couldn't see an invasion coming from hundreds of miles away. So this intelligence is
actually no.
It's not great.
No.
So they've decided this person might be an intelligence without court case, without any kind of democratic process, and because of that, they've decided to annihilate civilians along with him, and it's all just collateral damage, and nobody should care. That is not a humanistic perspective, and that is disgusting. And any person in the West who is advocating for that is a hypocrite. Because if it was turned on them, if the American government said, we think the person in your shopping mall, one of the people you were shopping alongside in the mall, might have committed a crime. We didn't take them to court. We think they might have, so we killed your whole family. Get over it.
So the last time
is a clown and a hypocrite.
So the last time.
What do you expect full-grown men to do?
I'm about to respond.
What do you expect full-grown men to do when you kill all of their families and leave them locked in an open-air prison?
Let me respond.
You gotta love Andrew. Whether you don't like him or what, you gotta love the way he controls a room. Whenever he gets into the room, the guy is intelligent. He's quick on his feet. He rattles things off. He's got such command of information. He sits down with Piers Morgan, one of the best out there, and he's brutal. He doesn't hold back. He comes after you. He's not taking it easy.
Because of this, Rogan is likely pinned between a rock and a hard place.
He also talks very slowly, which is why he would always lose in an argument to me, because he's too slow. And I'm very fast. Speed wins. Trust me, I've been in the cage. I know. And he knows that. So he would never want to debate me. But I guess it depends what we're talking about. If he wants to talk about the intricacies of some old philosopher, some book he's read. I've never read the book. Maybe he could perhaps pull off a semi-interesting point. But then I also believe I'm quick fire, bro. I'll tear remarks. That's no big deal.
This again is why the likes of Rogan are pinned against the ropes. As infamous as Andrew Tate is, there is no denying his expertise of wordplay and dominance in conversations.
You can get a Nissan, but if you want to get a Ferrari, it comes with headaches. It's going to come with problems. So when girls say to me, "Oh, you know what, Andrew, you know you should be loyal to that," men like me don't have to be, and you know that. So why are you here trying to tell me what to do? Because you know I don't have to be loyal, and all the girls don't have to be loyal. So why are you sitting there pretending you expected me to be loyal when everyone knew from ground up day one it was never going to ever happen, and you're still here?
If the dreamed future was to occur, Rogan would inevitably once again play a balancing act, saying enough to show that he isn't a Tate fanboy, but also enough in the opposite to show his concerns for Tate's integrity.
She pulled out at a junction, turned, and somehow, I can't even explain to you how ridiculous this was. She came up, she pulled out of a junction, turned to turn right, and instead of just turning right, she did some kind of U-turn back into traffic and crashed. It didn't make any human sense. I can't explain it to you in a way that makes sense. I know you're sitting there thinking, no, that can't be right. No, that's literally what she did. Traffic's going this way. The traffic stopped. She comes out, instead of just turning right and going on her way, she comes and just crashes into this car. And I sat there and I thought, how are women allowed to drive?
Admittedly, both parties on a podcast are trying to boost revenue, and Rogan knows that when it comes to Andrew Tate, their audiences overlap, meaning both preach to the same choir. Rogan will make sure to avoid any confronting questions to avoid risk of creating any unexpected tension to steer clear of fan backlash.
Dude, you're crazy if you don't think Tommy Fury's a boxer. Look at that uppercut! Shut the f*** up, dude.
No.
Shut the f*** up. Watch this.
Find the Tommy Fury. Find the Tommy Fury fight on the Jake Paul. card.
Shut the
This
up.
guy cannot.
Please shut the up and watch this.
On the contrary, going too soft on Tate may also reignite the wildfire that begun in 2020. Today, Piers Morgan is the only interview that has daringly questioned Tate's ideologies and will likely be the last. Often when it comes to business, the loudest in the room usually wins, an example of which is Conor McGregor, who incidentally has never sniffed a JRE feature.
It's almost like torture to me because this point saying to you now a few minutes down, I'm not going to drink it. This will be if I'm not going to drink.
Would you ever have Tate on your podcast?
It's a conversation, right?
Then Joe Rogan was talking about us. I think Joe and I, at some point in the future, are going to have a nice long conversation. I have a feeling it's going to be a very, very interesting time. It's probably the only thing I'd bother traveling to America for. So I look forward to getting in touch with Joe again. We were talking on Instagram before my Instagram got taken down, but I have other routes to get through to him and talk to Joe. So I'm really excited to get